Hey, what's up, everybody? I wanted to continue from yesterday because I had to end early because some karaoke came about, and I just got a little bit paranoid about the potential for getting some copyright issues. But yeah, this morning seems pretty quiet. I've also woken up earlier today than I did yesterday, so it seems like a good time to do a live stream. It's also starting to rain. Hey, what's up, man? Good morning. It's starting to rain here in Bakong, so a great time too to do a live stream because it's just I don't know. It seems like on the rainy days, the Philippines becomes quieter. I don't know if it's just me. I don't know. I don't know. I have talked to some people here about it, and there's this sense here in the Philippines that if you go out in the rain, you're risking getting sick. Even though it's not cold, even though it's not snow, that does seem to be a common theme here. I don't know, how much truth is in that, but either way, it does seem to result in more chill days. So yeah, I'm enjoying it. I mean, it's nice here. So some people might be wondering why I'm staying longer here in the Philippines, and really, it comes down to a few things. One, I'm really enjoying YouTube. YouTube has just been a lot of fun. It's connected me with a lot of wonderful people I never would have met otherwise. People that watch some of the same channels that I do, but then also having the fortune or the benefit to meet some guys that I think are really talented. Hey, Tony, welcome, welcome. Thank you guys so much for joining. I wanted to do one to kind of make up for yesterday's short stop, right? A couple of things happened yesterday when I was doing the live stream. One is the karaoke, which you guys let me know it wasn't too loud that you could hear it, but I know sometimes the karaoke it can get a little bit out of hand. Sometimes it starts off at a moderate volume and it just keeps going up and up and up and up until it could be a bit overwhelming. But then the other thing that popped up was that Paul actually mentioned to me he was in town at a local cafe, and I wanted to go meet up with him. And so, yeah, that went well. It was great to see him, and great to meet up with him and hang out and just uh, yeah, just share experiences. But yeah, feel free, guys, to ask away. Oh, so as far as why I'm staying, so one is the YouTube, two is the friends I've made here in Dumaguete, um, three is the job market's still iffy, and as far as just my expenses, they're a fraction of what they would be back home here. So if I look at it from a purely a budget perspective, I spend probably about 20% of what I'd be spending back home. Uh, so if I have X amount of dollars in savings and investments, it's going to go 5 times farther here. Um, my rent is my rent is a couple $100 a month, like $200 a month. Where in California it's more like $1,000 a month. In Tennessee, it might be even more than $1,000 a month. Um, my food is probably so my food here runs me about $300 a month. Back in the States, I'm spending more like $700 a month. Um, my transportation here runs me about $30 a month, and back in the States, it runs me about $300 a month. And that's like being conservative. Really, if you look at cost per mile in the States, 50 cents a mile, probably now 60 cents a mile, probably costs me more than $300 a month when I factor in the oil changes, the tire replacements, all that stuff. Where here, I just pay for a jeepney or a trike, and I pay about 20 pesos to go to town, to go to Dumaguete, because I'm outside of Dumaguete, and then I pay 30 pesos to come home after um, after hours. So at a certain point, the jeepneys, the big trucks stop running, and you got to take a trike, a smaller vehicle. In fact, why don't I show you guys what a jeepney looks like? 'Cause some of you may be. I know Tony is in North America, so you can get a sense of. Well, these aren't exactly the right kind of jeepneys, but I'll share anyway. So this is they're showing the big okay, so this is more like what I so this is what I ride to go to Dumaguete City. So and I usually climb up here in the driver passenger door. I see it as like I'm a big American. Maybe I'm a little bit entitled. But I hop in the driver's seat and ride to town. It's about 20 pesos. Let me just uh, to get in 35 cents. So I pay 35 cents to ride about 10 kilometers to town. And then when I come home, typically, so these guys stop running around. I would say they stop running around 7 p.m., 6:30, 7 p.m. So if I come back home after that, which is common, I'm typically coming home at like, I don't know, 10, 11 p.m. at night. Then I pay 30 pesos, which is about 52 cents. So 87 cents per day. I round up to 30 bucks because usually a couple of times a month I'll go up to Valencia, which is up in the mountains. And let's see, and it takes me two rides to get there and two rides back, so that costs a little bit more. But yeah, these are the trikes that I ride home every night, and typically we'll have like okay, this isn't they have the modified ones that carry like 10 people. And so one of these can fit like I know it sounds wild, it looks wild. There we go. Okay. This is this is how I get home every night. I'm fine with it. It's not a big deal to me. It's kind of fun because you get to interact with the people and you kind of better understand the Philip. Oh, hey Tony, is it still a dark screen? Thank you for the heads up. Um, okay, good, good. Yeah, so this is how I ride home. Yeah, so great, great. Thank you for the heads up, Doug and Tony. Um, so Vanico says, rode one yesterday for the first time, went to the Valencia Sunday market. How did you like the Sunday market, Vanico? Because I went like a couple months ago and I just got there way too late. So I'm hearing you want to get there early if you want to get the best selection of vegetables and you want to see all these different people. So one of these days, I've got to get up there at like 6 a.m. Uh, and really have the full experience. How's the English tutoring going? So I did that yesterday, Tony, and I got some solid lessons in. I taught uh, off and on for about 5 hours, and it was fine. I'd like to add another platform. So there's a couple of other platforms that I'm going to research and check out just to supplement my YouTube income. Um, until YouTube gets to a point where it totally covers my bills, which I could see happening. I mean, the channel is growing super fast. I'm filming this documentary on Wednesday. Speaking of which, after this stream, I'm going to be well. Hopefully, the rain is done. So I need to check out the forecast to see. Hopefully, it'll be done by like another hour or two. It doesn't look like it's going to be that bad today. But I've got to go to town and get some clothes for filming because normally I'm dressed kind of casually here. Clothes are the weather is hard on clothes here, but yeah, I need to go to town and get some clothes. So I think after this one, I'll be um, I'll be going to town to get some clothes for the filming I'm doing tomorrow. Not tomorrow, sorry, Wednesday. I'm doing filming Wednesday with this media group, and it should be interesting. This is going to be my first time doing a more of a professional production. I plan to ask them a bunch of questions to try to learn to improve my own content. But yeah, that should be fun. Um, oh wow, Tony's an NHL fan. You know, Tony, it's funny you mentioned that. I grew up being a fan of NHL. I was a fan of several different NHL teams, and then I don't know why I always liked hockey. Uh, Strange because I grew up in the South, right? Where in the Southern U.S., it's I don't know. It just seems like more of a northern thing, like a northern U.S. thing, or a Canadian thing, right? I mean, Canada's hockey is huge in Canada. Need to have more coffee. By the way, guys, I'm gonna take a sip here. I got to buy more coffee today. Also, I buy these packets because they're super convenient. It's faster than making brewed coffee. You just pour boiling water on the powder in the packet, and not your fanciest coffee in the world, not your best, but I don't know. I got into this stuff when I was in Malaysia, and it's just super easy. Um, did you? Wow, former NHL. So I don't know if you're kind of teasing us, Tony. Is it true, Doug, that you played hockey? Even if you're just a fan, that's cool with me. It's such a small world. I've always thought hockey was incredible, though, because these guys are the agility and the stamina and having to skate and also like it seems like a really demanding sport. I mean, I guess you could say that about every sport, but there's the to me it's this combination of like having the grace to skate very well, but then also having the aggression to to win, right? To get the puck in the goal and to sometimes you see him get a little like a brawl. That was one of the the one of the at times. Uh, oh, okay. So you played for 30 years, but not at the NHL level. And you wow, so you got to see the Penguins play. That's awesome. Uh, yeah, the Penguins. Was it Mario Lemieux who was a star player for the Penguins? I know he was from Canada, but thought he, yeah, he did play for the Penguins. Yeah, I read a book about his background and his story when I was younger, just talking about how he got into it, and um, yeah, really, really good stuff. I gotta start watching hockey sometimes. It's been a while since I watched it. Maybe just being in these tropical countries, but you don't. That's one thing you don't see. You don't see here in the Philippines is you don't see hockey. They probably have a place in Manila. Let me look that up actually. Manila ice hockey. So they have an ice rink at SM Asia. So they have some hockey in Manila, but yeah, I think it would be like kind of a I don't know, one of those things like one of my buddies, he's here in Southeast Asia and his wife has never seen snow, so he wants to show her snow. And I think it's got to be such an interesting uh interesting, like I don't know if contradiction is the right word, but uh yeah. Um hey Lincoln. Attempt number two before Mariah Carey starts blasting. Yeah, so fortunately I think we're here on Monday, so I think people are gonna be going to work and not so much karaoke this morning, I don't think. And funny enough, I actually like karaoke doesn't really bother me. I actually enjoy it. I think it's kind of cheery and kind of fun. Uh, the part that you could say bugs me is more so just wanting to like have a present a good experience for you guys, right? So yeah, there's a lot of noise here that it doesn't bother me that much because I become more sensitive to noise when I'm back home because how stressed out I am. So I find that the more stressed out I am, then the more that noise tends to kind of bother me or get under my skin. Where the more time I spend in Southeast Asia, the more I decompress and relax, and things that would really bother me back home just don't bother me here. So now there are days where noise gets under my skin, but it's not like back home where I really just don't like the noise back home. And it's also different. People here are typically having a good time. Back home, when it gets noisy, it's typically because there's some issues going on. Um, but yeah, I'll definitely take a look at Doug Gilmore a little bit, like probably on my ride to town, Tony. Whenever I ride to town, then I'll do some reading. I usually try to read or listen to a podcast. Um, Yeah, I'll just listen to a podcast or I'll read something on my phone. It takes usually about a half hour for me to travel the 10 kilometers, maybe 40 minutes. Because the jeepney that I ride, typically it's like a stop and a start. So they've got certain stops that they make, like they stop at certain crossings to pick up passengers to give people a chance to get on. Some people also are not going all the way to Dumaguete City. And so they are, and this is something I should go into more detail. I'll make a note to go into more detail on the members live stream because I could actually kind of show you the route that I take to get to town to get you to give you a better sense of how I use the jeepneys. I don't want to show where I live on this one because you know these get hundreds of views and replay, and I'd prefer for people to not know exactly where I live. But for the members, absolutely, I could show you how I use, uh, the route I take basically to get to town. I'm not uncomfortable with that, but yeah. So they stop and start. So it takes me about 30 to 40 minutes to get to town, and on that route, I'll read something on my phone or I'll listen to a podcast. So I'll definitely maybe I could watch. I'm sure Doug Gilmore has probably done an interview now with the rise of YouTube. You can watch interviews of everybody, which is really awesome. I love that about YouTube is that you can get access to the insight and the mindset of all these different people that in the past, maybe you'd get 30-second clip on TV. Maybe they do an interview if they're like, Tiger Woods level or I don't know, Wayne Gretzky level or something like that. There's a lot of talented people that had a lot of success that I think we could all benefit from learning about. Um, Yes, I followed Doug Gilmore. I used his number 93 when I played. Awesome. Yeah, that's what a small world. Uh, it's interesting. There's multiple Doug Gilmores out there, and I don't know if I've met a few people with my last name. I don't know if I've ever met anybody with my exact name, but yeah, I'll keep that in mind, guys. Lincoln says, I love the karaoke, but you made a great point last night about exploring around unless you just voice over everything. And that's doable. I mean, if there's more demand or I perceive that the audience would enjoy me doing voiceover style videos, I'm happy to do that. I need to get better at them. So I've done a couple and I've done it a little bit. Um, but it comes across the voiceovers sometimes can be a little bit awkward because maybe it's just me. I feel like my timing is a little bit off. Uh, I like to kind of react in real time. And with the voiceovers, I'm having sometimes to fill space or to cut clips shorter than what I'd like them to be. And so you're having to kind of like target how long you want your audio to go uh, to match your video clips, where typically I'm more focused on the audio than I am the video part. Because the audio, like people will watch a not so good video, a crappy video with good audio, but nobody wants to watch a video with bad audio. It just great. Like I know this too from personal experience where I've tried to watch a video and the audio is kind of iffy. Maybe they're a YouTuber, they're new to YouTube, and immediately I'm like, no. Or if they're using like only AI voiceovers, I'm like, no. I just it just sounds kind of, for whatever reason in my mind it just doesn't sound right. um but yeah, Doug says, I messaged you yesterday about Malai. I went down to Valencia when I was there. Seems to be a shortage of apartments for rent on Facebook Marketplace and even Airbnb. Climate is great. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, I'm in touch with this spot, Doug, that they've said they've got a place for rent for 15,000 pesos per month, which is, let's see, about 262 US dollars. Um, let's see how much it would be Canadian. About 361 Canadian dollars. Uh, I may like try to bargain them down a little bit. I may throw out there, hey, I know you got it listed for 15K. Would you do it for 12K? But yeah, a lot of certain places in the Philippines are experiencing this shortage that I didn't see at all 5 years ago. 5 years ago, felt like you could go into any town or most towns, maybe outside of Metro Manila, but even Cebu, like, and just find a place, not really have to think about it, not really have to, there was more places to live than demand. But now with this influx of people, it's you know, it's it's not as easy to find a place as it was 5 years ago. That's for sure, Doug. I asked my buddy about it who lives or who works in Balai, and he said, just kind of look around. He said it's basically, I think in his mind, like he didn't know if I'd be comfortable with a Filipino style apartment. I don't know that I would be in Dumaguete because of the heat. It's just Dumaguete just can get really hot on the non-rainy days. Whereas if you're in Bukidnon, if you're in Malaybalay, then it's cooler up there. So would I be more comfortable with a Filipino style apartment? Yeah, if it's doesn't you're not dealing with the extraordinary heat, then you're not kind of sitting in like a sweat box. Uh, then yeah, I think I'd be more comfortable with a more Filipino style apartment. Maybe it's a situation where I go down there for a month. Um, but let's see. Tony says, so the tutoring is through a school or an app thing, like, oh yeah, yeah. So I use Cambly, and that yeah, I use Cambly. So it's okay. Honestly, I don't really like. I don't. There's some there. Let's say there's some challenges with it. There's some things that I don't really like about the platform. But once a week, it's tolerable. Sometimes like the conversations can get a bit repetitive, because it's just very introductory stuff, and I'm not at all looking down upon it. There's not. I think the challenge with teaching English or tutoring English, there's not like a path forward, right? So with YouTube, you build the channel, you grow your subscriber base, you expand the ways in which you can offer value to people. Maybe you do T-shirts, maybe you do consults, maybe you have memberships, and you yeah, and you can do collaborations. There's many different directions you could take YouTube, and I enjoy it as well. I just enjoy YouTube overall. I feel very blessed to have met the people that I've met through YouTube. Guys like Paul. I just hung out with Paul yesterday. Old Dog New Tricks. I've been watching his channel for 5 years now. It's just still a shock to me. I could go meet that guy. Of course, Mike from Mike's Philippine Retirement, another guy that's been really good to me, and then Chad Foster. Those three guys I've really connected well with here, and there's other guys too. I'm not gonna, but as far as YouTubers go, those guys have been wonderful, taking me under their wing, helping me to grow how I think about things and change the way I do things and try to go in different directions. Um, but with teaching English, you're selling your time for money, and so you're not like paying into Social Security. You're not contributing to retirement accounts. It's kind of like the inputs are tied to the outputs. So I got X amount of time, I get X amount of money. With YouTube or your own business, the inputs are not tied to the outputs. So if I make a really good video and 10,000 people enjoy it, that's awesome. I didn't work any harder on that video than I did for a video that gets 500 views. So you need that kind of asymmetry to grow. And I just don't see that asymmetry with teaching English. You teach one person at a time, maybe you can teach a small group, but you're kind of limited as far as your ceiling. And you'll hear this too from people that teach English in countries like China, for example, where you're not gonna necessarily take the English job and like move up the ladder to I don't you know what I'm saying? Like, there's nothing wrong with it, and I'm happily do it, a few days per week to make some extra cash. But I do keep in mind, hey, this is something where it's nice for extra money. It's not necessarily something that I'm going to become an admin or I'm going to get a corporate job where I'm, working on English teaching programs. So that's kind of the kind of challenge, or maybe you could say the downside of the English teaching. Um, so the tutoring is through a school. Oh yeah, I already covered that one. The place I just rented yesterday is 12K a month, but it's small, but also it's near downtown. Vanico, are you in a lease to get that 12K a month? Because that's a pretty reasonable price point. That's what I pay here in Bakong, and I rent the top half of a house. But if I decide to stay longer, I wouldn't mind trying to find a place a little bit closer to town, right? Because it takes me a while to get out here. It takes me a while to get to town, and being closer to town could be more convenient based on my lifestyle habits and patterns. Doug says, seems to be a water issue, cloudy and slight odor to the tap water. I went to one development outside town and they only had water 3 hours a day. Yeah, that's tough, Doug. Definitely, then you want to use bottled water. I'm sure you're familiar, or get like a water delivery service. Um, and it's Yeah, that makes sense. It's definitely something to think about. I did ask my friend who lives in Malai. By the way, guys, please give us a thumbs up. It really helps with the algorithm. Sorry for bugging you guys, but I just wanted to throw that out there because we got 17 people watching. So yeah, with only 3 hours a day, yeah, I mean it's got to be inconvenient to shower, right? Because you can only get a shower in that 3 hour window, so you got to be very specific. The water was off yesterday morning, so when I got up yesterday to shower, or just to start my day, and I tried to take a shower, the water was not on, so that can be a concern here for sure. Lincoln says, any word yet on that radio thing? Is it still too soon to speak on? I should have more information next weekend. So um, feel free to ask away about it, Lincoln, though. So I'll be filming with them Wednesday morning. They get here from Manila. We've got basically a location booked where we're going to meet up. And yeah, we'll meet there and film, and then we're gonna go and do some filming for B-roll. They're gonna come out here to the house and film me at home, um, which should be interesting. I generally try to avoid filming at home. I mean, I do these streams at home, but I just like some level of privacy. Um, that Yeah, I just there's a fine line between sharing my life, but also not doxing myself, right? I don't want some weirdos showing up. I've had YouTuber friends tell me, "Hey, I don't put my location out there anymore because I've had people show up expecting to meet me." I know my channel is modest right now. I expect that it will be bigger in the future, and I just have to be careful about that. But that's something that's just been on my mind. Um, Doug says, Doug says, I lived in the mountains in Colombia for 4 years before coming to the Philippines and loved the cooler weather. If they spoke English, I would have never left. Yeah, Doug, I feel the same way. I loved Colombia. I spent about 3 months there back in 2021 between Medellin and Bogota, and I loved it a lot. And the English was the one of the only challenges there in Colombia. I loved the weather. I actually liked the food a lot. I used to go to this really nice farm to table restaurant called. It was in Laureles. I can't think of the name. Um, let's see here. I think it was in Laureles. Maybe it was. I can't think of the name of it. Anyway, oh yeah, it was somewhere around here. I'm surprised it's not popping up. It was somewhere around here, but it was this farm to table restaurant, really incredible. I'd go there every day for lunch. Really good stuff. I mean, really, really good stuff. A huge fan of Columbia, Doug. I hope I get to go back there at some point in the future. I liked it a lot. I felt like it was another place that, to me, lived up to the hype. I love the architecture in Medellin. Love the architecture in Bogota. I like a lot of those Spanish influences as far as architecture goes. I mean, that's to me part of the appeal of the Philippines is that it does feel like a Latin country in Asia. Very atypical here, right? It's clearly not Thailand here. Clearly not Malaysia. Um, not Japan. It's really its own thing, and that's part of, to me, the appeal of the Philippines. The big one being English, but also too being the visual aspect. I talk about the Philippines. I say this a lot. It's the uncanny valley. It looks kind of familiar, but it's on the edge of familiarity and unfamiliar. And you get the sense you're like, okay, I'm home because people are speaking English, but I'm not home because people are like different from the people that we would find in the Western democracies. So it's definitely an interesting vibe. W says hi from Queens, New York. Hey, welcome to the stream. What's the scoop on Ground Zero? Do you go there? Did you meet Goldfinger yet? So I haven't met Goldfinger yet, but actually Vanico has met Goldfinger, and what's it called? I'd like to meet Goldfinger. I think Goldfinger is the only person I haven't met yet in Dumagetti. Everybody else, like I've met, or I met Filipina P, hung out with Filipina P. Of course, Paul. I consider Paul a friend and a mentor in a way. Mike as well. Chad. Who else have I met here? P was the one that I was most surprised about, and she's she was the character. We went and had some snacks, and she introduced me to a friend of hers who I've been chatting for a while, which I should have done a video about, but I didn't. I I need to do a video on that. I've had a few friends tell me, "What, you met P and you didn't do a video on it?" But when I met her, I saw another vlogger shove a camera in her face, and that was what started that interaction. I walked by her and did a double take because I'm like, wait, I know her. And I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna go. She was filming, and so I thought I'll go sit down and watch them film for a while. I'll give her plenty of space because she's gets a lot of attention, and not all of it's wanted, I think. And so I thought I'll just wait until she hits a good kind of pause point. Um, but yeah, oh, Kelly, yeah, I ran into Kelly as well, Lincoln. Um, Oh, okay. So MV, do you ever have a Filipino straight up approach you out there? No. So MV, if you have that happen, it may be a lady boy. Uh, straight up means like it's kind of just like emphasis med tech. It's millennial speak, I think. And I know it because I've used that. I've used that. what's it called? That phrasing. Um, but yeah, no, Filipinas envy tend to be shy. I do like to interact a little bit in public, like wave and smile, and they'll start laughing, and it's a lot of fun. I mean, I don't know if that'll be that way. I don't know if it'll be that way forever, but I have many positive interactions with Filipinas. But typically, I'll engage them a little bit. Where one of the ways that I do it is I'll see that they're laughing and joking around, and then I'll laugh too, and they're like, "Oh wow, the foreigner, thinks it's funny too." Because I think sometimes they're kind of used to being in this a little bit of a bubble where they differentiate themselves from foreigners. Where in America, Americans come in all colors, all shapes, all sizes. You could, for better or for worse, it's multicultural, multi-ethnic, and so American doesn't really. I don't think of a certain visual when I think of American. Uh, there's some, Americans tend to be a little bit bigger. I mean, I'm a little bit heavy set or have been off and on over the years, but overall, American can mean a lot of different things visually. Whereas if I say Filipino, most people have a certain idea um, of what they might think. They may have interacted with a Filipino person and they're like, oh, okay, they're an Austronesian person, right? They've got certain features that I think of. And but yeah, so no, Filipinos generally are quite shy, and you have to engage them. They're not going to come up and flirt with you. If they do, maybe it may not be a Filipina in the traditional sense. Maybe a trans person. But once again, nothing wrong with that. I'm a live and let live kind of guy. I think that Yeah, I think that's just part of the Philippines that foreigners have to accept, right? It's not going to be on us to try to. I think we come here for the Philippines to change us, and the ideal, not for us to change the Philippines. I was an hour north of. Dang, they're doing MTV Cribs. Yeah, it'll be interesting to show the house and I've already let the host family know. So I rent from a host family here. They've got this family compound, and I already let them know, hey, they're going to be bringing a camera crew out here. I just want to let you know, it's just yeah, be prepared for people to show up with these big cameras. That's going to be interesting because we're probably going to ride out here on trikes because there's no cabs in Dumaguete, so we're going to be riding on trikes out here. That's it's going to be hilarious. But yeah, tomorrow I'm going to go get a haircut. I'm going to get my beard trimmed so it looks professional for filming. And yeah, I'm a little bit nervous. I'll be honest with you, Lincoln. I'm a little bit intimidated to be on this program that their channel is displayed in 16 million households. So it's it is kind of intimidating for me to potentially have that kind of reach. Now, I don't know if it'll go on live television. I know it'll go on their YouTube channel, but I suspect it will go. I suspect it will go on live television. But yeah, I'll have a link. I should be able to get a link that they when they post it on YouTube. I'll provide a link, and I may even do a reaction video to my own experience or a follow up discussing, what it was like, what kind of experience was it like, how do I enjoy it, would I do it again, what do we cover, what do we not cover, what did they cut out, right? What did they edit out versus what made it into the final cut? But I'm excited. I think it's going to be really interesting. Nervous, but excited about it. That I'll be doing this, and they had quite a few respondents, and I guess I just was able to make a better case for myself. It's yeah, it should be interesting. But yeah, MV, I'll be sure to share a link. I'll post a link probably on my community page. I don't know how long it'll take for them to edit it and to have it ready for release. I'm going to stay in touch with the producer about it. Just like, hey, when you get a chance, holler at me about that because I'm excited about it. I mean, I think it'll be interesting. The production quality is going to be a lot better than what I could put together at this stage, and I should learn a lot. The big thing for me with this is just learning a lot and yeah, just upgrading my skill set, trying to get better at this, maybe even getting some feedback like, hey, what can I do to make my channel better? How can I make it a better experience for the audience? How can I take it to the next level? What do you do for your success? I learned a lot from P. I mean, just hanging out with P for an evening, her and her friend group. She's a yeah. I mean, she's a character. Like, I mean, I ran into her totally by accident, and she's she's a high energy person. Like she puts a lot of work into her channel and makes it look easy because I think a lot of people find her relatable or can appreciate her content. Obviously, she's got hundreds of thousands of subscribers, but she works really hard at it. I mean, there's a lot I could say uh, positively about my interactions with P. Um, but yeah, let me get caught up on some of these comments here. Doug says I was about an hour north of Bogota and Cajica. Temps at night as low as 50, highs in the day normally low 70s. It was about 8,000 elevation. That sounds really nice, Doug. I'm gonna have to look into Cajica. I didn't really explore outside the cities in Colombia, but I should have. I had a friend invite me to a town about an hour and a half away from Medellin, and did the P have her American man with her? Yeah, so I don't want to speak for P. This isn't me critiquing her. I suspect she's single right now. Some people have said that. Maybe she's met someone else. But I saw her just with her kind of her crew, right? So she's got a production crew. Uh, she's got somebody that does camera work for her. She's got another person who helps to kind of organize things. So I didn't see an American man with her. It was just her and her crew, her local folks that are helping her with production. Uh, Doug says liked Baguio, but way too crowded and expensive. Yeah, Doug, I've seen some like videos of Baguio, and it looks really busy. I mean, it looks like there's a ton of people there. And yeah, as far as prices go, yeah, I mean, I think it's a place. Baguio is a place where everybody that wants cooler weather goes there, because it's one of the few options you have of those lower temperatures at that higher altitude, and so it really has driven up the prices. It's funny you learned about Malai Balai. Um, I think the secret's getting out about Malai Balai. I mean, regular guy went there, and my buddy tried to convince me to go up there 5 years ago, but I was still a little bit nervous because at that time I'd heard some of the horror stories coming out of parts of Mindanao, and and so I was hesitant to leave Cagayan de Oro. Now I'd be happy to go up there. So I may go up there, but I don't want to leave Dumaguete. I mean, that's what I'm struggling with right now. Is I don't want to leave Dumaguete because I have so many friends here and I've met so many wonderful people. But I have done not. I'm not going to say everything. I've done a lot of what I've wanted to do here. I've met a lot of people that I've wanted to meet. I've gone. So there's still okay. I'll be honest. There's still a lot for me to do here in Dumaguete. I'm mixing it up. You know, you get in kind of this like bubble feeling here in Dumaguete where you feel like you're I don't know somehow on another planet. It just feels very removed from reality because of how nice it is. How like you have beautiful nature, you have Western conveniences, you have cool local people, you have cool foreigners, and you kind of get in this sense of every day. Some people would say Groundhog Day, but it's just so comfortable. And for me, I think comfort sometimes can be a problem for me, right? I can get too comfortable in life, and it's a benefit for me to check out some other places. Lincoln says, let me try to catch up a bit here. Lincoln says, I ran into Sissy Kelly and Duma. I don't know if you know her. Yeah, so I've actually hung out. Now I've met her and her boyfriend David a couple times. I actually ran into David Saturday. Yeah, I ran into David Saturday and hung out with him for a bit. And he's from the states as well, so we had a lot to talk about. And yeah, I mean, I enjoy both of them. They've both been nice to me. So yeah, I think Kelly works really, really hard at what she does, and she's yeah, I mean, she's got a lot of grit and determination to have had the growth that she's had because she was like, I think she was at like 13K subs a year ago, and now she's past 80K. So she puts a lot of effort into it, and I respect the amount of work that she puts into it because it's not easy, right? I mean, I think it's not easy. It's YouTube. Before I got into YouTubing, I thought it looked easy. Not like that it would be easy to do, but it just they're doing all the work for you, right? It's kind of this abstraction. You see the screen, everything is curated. There's a ton that goes on behind the scenes to make a quality piece of content. Urban says, "What American man? She wanted the olive skin Easter dream." Um, um, Benico says, "I've seen a YouTuber or someone they've interviewed 6 days in a row." Yeah, Benico, I keep running into more people. So I was recently at a location here in town and ran into somebody that had been interviewed before. I want to interview this guy. He'd make an interesting interview. Um, he he runs the local NA chapter. Um, and so I think you have some interesting stuff to talk about. He's done one interview in the past, but I need to reach out to him again. He's a he's a welcoming guy. And okay, Billy says, "Have you been to Cebu?" Yeah, Billy. So I went to Cebu 5 years ago. Cebu's great. It's you got the big city vibe. Some of the best, like one of the best food scenes in the country. Like a lot of nice places to eat. You can feel a bit crowded, right? So traffic can be tough in Cebu. I sat on the Mactan Bridge for like solid 30 minutes. It took me probably close to 2 hours to here. I'll pull up Cebu actually. That's a good call. It took me to get from this airport. So this is the airport, Mactan Airport, and I'll show you the hotel I stayed at. So this ride took me about, and you can see you're not even in major traffic right now because it's late morning after rush hour. It'll take you to go 7 miles, 45 minutes. When I did this, I landed in Cebu at rush hour. This ride took me, I think, 2 hours. Maybe it was an hour and a half. So I sat on a cab for an hour, and I thought 7 miles in America, depending on where you're at, that might take, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes, like in Tennessee, parts of Tennessee. So you got to be prepared in Cebu for hardcore traffic. I mean, it can be really overwhelming. But there's a lot to love about Cebu. I have some friends that love Cebu. They live in Cebu. It's if you're looking to date, I think Cebu is awesome because you just have a sheer large number of people. Um, but yeah, MB. So yeah, I'll drop a link. Describe Dumageddon. Is it mainly for guys over 50? Um, yeah. So Billy, I don't think so. I think historically that has been the case, where it's mostly appealed to guys over 50 years old. But now there's a newer generation coming in. I think that the younger guys are like, wow, we don't have to necessarily go there to retire. It's got a lot of its own merits. It's got a lot of cool stuff about it. There's a ton of diving around here. So if you're interested in diving, you can do that here. There's what's the word? There's a lot of hiking around here if you like to go hiking. There's some great hiking. There's a lot of outdoorsy stuff that some of my older friends kind of hold off from because they may be concerned about getting injured. They may not have the same level of stamina that they had when they were younger guys. Um, there's I think that Dumagetti is friendly to all ages. Now, I am technically, in Chad's words, a baby here, right? So, me being 32, I'm very young here still. But I think that will change. And I see young guys here more and more. I do. I think it just, to me, Dumagetti just punches above its weight. I say that a lot, probably too much, but it's got so much on offer in a what's a small city that I think that younger guys should give it a chance. Now, I could see younger guys being like, it's too small for me. I'd rather live in BGC or I'd rather live in Cebu. Nothing wrong with that, but I think it's worth giving a shot. Before I came here, I thought it was going to have like a Pattaya vibe, but it doesn't. It doesn't have the nightlife that Pattaya has. There's like a few bars in town, but it's it's sleepy. I mean, it's still kind of a sleepy town in a lot of ways. Things wind down fairly early. So yeah, Billy, I would say it's worth checking out. I think it's got something for everyone. There's there's a lot to love about Dumaguete, and there's people here from all over the country too. Even though you do see an international vibe here, there are people from all over the Philippines. Like my host family, the mom is from Zamboanga, which is in southern Mindanao, and the dad is from Bacolod. So Bacolod is in the northern part of the island, and then Zamboanga is in Mindanao. So you meet people from other parts of the country, and it's really interesting in that way. Um, no, Nicholas says 90 Day Fiance. Yeah, no, Nicholas. So I'm not going to be on 90 Days Fiance. MedTech, I delayed my vacation by 3 months. Got it, MedTech. I need a directional microphone. Yeah, that's a good call. I'd like to get a shotgun mic, Gerard. I think that would be interesting because shotgun mic basically picks up this narrow bar, like almost like a tube of sound, and doesn't focus on stuff outside of it. So that's one thing I'm going to look at. I need to look at Lazada to try to get one of those. W says, do you think he was educated or lived in the US? Her command of the language is great, and her accent is that of someone who grew up in the West. I think P had an American boyfriend or a Western boyfriend for a while. I think that's part of what helped her to develop that. But she's also worked on it a lot. And we also talked about it, and she said her Filipino accent comes out. So she makes a conscious effort to neutralize her accent, which I do as well, by the way. For those who don't know, I grew up in Nashville. I grew up in the southern US. And a number of the people that I grew up around, especially people like 40, 50 plus, they talk like this. They have a country accent. And some of that can bleed over into my English. But I always had pressure from my grandma growing up. Hey, you need to neutralize that because you don't know where you're going to go in life. And people have certain negative perceptions of country accents, and any accent you could think of that's not neutral, like a mid-Atlantic accent or like a California accent. People are going to have certain kinds of perceptions about it, and often negative. Unfortunately, it's the world we live in. And with P, she's got such an international audience that it helps her to neutralize it because she's got people watching her all over the world, right? She's got people in Australia watching her, people in Canada watching her, people in the UK, I'm sure there are people in Japan watching P, people in South Africa, people in Brazil. And so she wants to be as neutral as possible. And that's something I've gotten compliments on many times. And English teaching actually helped me with this. So I wanted to shout out to Tony about this. English teaching helped me to go for a more and more neutral accent, such that I could communicate effectively with lots of different people, and they can really understand what I'm saying. And I get a lot of compliments too from Filipinos and also from my Thai friends that they can understand me very well. So it's really a conscious effort from people who are in media that care, right? Because I really care. Um, to make sure that we're able to so that, yeah, in short, Will, I think that she it's a conscious effort for P to neutralize her accent, but that also she's dated an American for a long time that kind of helped her to neutralize it inadvertently, by accident, or unintentionally. That's the word I'm looking for, unintentionally. Becoming Filipino also needed a vlog in Malay. Yeah, that guy is great. That guy's got such a positive vibe, and I think it's cool to show some parts of the Philippines that a lot of foreigners don't see. Right? Lincoln says, "Did that station reach out to you, or did you fill something out on their Facebook or something?" No. So thanks to subscribers like you, Lincoln, they actually reached out to me. So I've always thought my channel's tiny. I don't know if it's ever going to get to big. Define big, right? Some people would say big is 1 million+ subscribers. Some people would say 100K is big. Some people would say 10K is big. For me, under 3,000 subscribers, I'm still quite small. But they reached out to me. So they reached out to me. They sent me an email saying, "Hey, we're coming to the Philippines, or we're going to film in the Philippines. We like your channel. Are you open to being interviewed?" And I said, "Yeah, let's do it. Let's set it up." They gave me all the details. They linked their channel and kind of explained to me what they want to cover. And I was like, "Sure, I'm fine with it." So yeah, I didn't reach out to them. In fact, I prefer it this way. So a lot of the times that you see me collab with people, or you see me work with other people, or even interview people, most of those people have suggested it to me. Most of the time, I treat people like cats. It's got to be their idea, right? So if you notice, when you go to pet a cat, if you try to go and pet the cat, they'll be kind of skittish and run away. But then if the cat approaches you and rubs up against your leg, they want you to pet them. It's not quite exactly like that, but I try to let people know, hey, I'm a YouTuber. And then naturally that gives them a chance. Hey, I've got this story. You want to cover it on your channel? Yeah, sure, let's do it. But I don't ever want to be transactional with my YouTube. Maybe I'll change my mind about that, but I don't like the idea of, like, I know some YouTubers, they'll come up to you, "Hey, do you want to be on my channel?" "Oh no, I'm not interested, man." They'll immediately turn around and walk away. No, no, I like to talk to people. I like the social element. So yeah, YouTube has so much work and knowledge behind the scenes. I've been filing hours of background music that I can use legally for free, but I'm 1 to 2 months out from starting. Yeah, I think P studied YouTube for 2 years before she got started, and that's part of why she's so successful. Is she put a lot of effort into understanding the platform. I've been watching YouTube since high school, so I started watching videos in high school. 15, no, I was in middle school, so I started watching YouTube about 18 years ago. I feel so old. 17, 18 years ago. Never thought I'd be a content creator, but I enjoy the platform so much. I watch or listen to YouTube, back in the States, about 40 hours a week, and probably still close to that here. But yeah, I looked at my usage time on YouTube, about 40 hours a week, listening to music on YouTube, listening to videos in the background, podcasts on YouTube, watching some of my favorite content creators. I love the platform. It's my favorite social media platform. It's such a powerful tool. I wouldn't be who I am today without YouTube. I wouldn't have learned all the things that I've learned. I wouldn't have connected with all these wonderful people. So yeah, I'm a fan of it. What W says, where were you during the pandemic? How long before you traveled again? That's a great question, W. So I was actually in East Bangkok. So let me pull this up. I could actually show you. So I was in this neighborhood. I was in East Bangkok during the pandemic, and then ultimately, so we're east of downtown, or city center. So this is more like the city center. Or this is like Sukhumvit, down here. This is Sukhumvit line. So this is like north, between the city and the airport. But north of, yeah. So between the city and the airport. And I flew back in March of 2020. I made it in the U.S. for about 8 or 9 months. was super miserable because I just don't like being in the United States, and I just don't like being in the U.S. And so in very beginning of February 2021, I flew to Colombia, and I was down there for 3 months, and then I went to Peru for another 2.5 months, and then in 3 months, and then I came back to America late June 2021, and then started working. Um, so yeah, I was home for about 10 months before I left again and went to South America. Had a great time in South America. Be happy to go back there at some point in the future, but I needed to work. How are the temps in Valencia? About above Dumaguete? I hear it's cooler, but my impression is it's still kind of hot. The elevation isn't very high. I'm thinking about checking Tagaytay next. Yeah, Doug, I've had a few friends tell me that they really like Tagaytay. Definitely worth checking out. It's, I found Valencia, the town proper, isn't that much cooler. That's something that kind of threw me off. Everybody's telling me how much cooler it is. I think you really need to go up into the mountains to get the better temperatures in Valencia. It's yeah, it was still kind of hot. I think if you go like up into the hills, it gets better. If you go like under tree cover, it gets better. But yeah, check. Let us know how Tagaytay goes. I've had several friends that really enjoy it. Um, my lease expires the end of November, and I need to decide to extend it. Ah, I got it. And are you in Malay? Maybe I'm wrong about that. I think I missed out on where you mentioned you're staying. You may not want to share that, and that's okay too. MedTech says Shopee, please. I'm a shareholder. We'll keep Shopee in mind, MedTech. Lincoln says I'm 40. I was making music videos with anime clips for the forum sites existed. Wow, very cool. Mr. Dave says I'm a handsome man. Thank you, Mr. Dave. That's very kind of you. I really appreciate that. But yeah, it looks like it's clearing up a bit. That's nice. So when I get ready to head to town to buy some clothes, it should be nice. Probably stop and do lunch. Yeah, I think I'll stop and do lunch first, and then I'll walk down to this department store my friend told me about. It's got some great deals on clothes. I prefer to shop where the locals shop, and it's not quite ukai ukai there. Though I asked some friends about the ukai ukai stores, and they mentioned to me, "Hey, great for Filipinas. Lots of ladies' clothes. For men, not so good. You're not going to find what you're looking for. The sizing may be off. The clothes might not be in the condition like that they're going to last a while. So I'm going to go to this other department store my friend told me about that has great prices. When I was down there, I saw my trike driver. Actually, I saw the gentleman who I ride home with. I shouldn't say ride home with, who gives me a ride home every day, or I'd say like at least a third of the days. All the trike drivers kind of alternate to do these, but I saw him there. I'm like, okay, if the local folks are shopping here, this is a place where you're getting a lot of value for your money. And so I'll go down there and check out what they got. I'm normally a guy that I don't like shopping. I just find it to be time consuming, but I want to wear something decent for this episode I'm filming because it has a lot of potential to. Well, one, it's going to be permanent, right? It's going to be around forever. They warned me, hey, the topic is a little bit controversial. Are you comfortable? Because you might get some flack for this. And I'm thinking, okay, well, better dress nicely at least to offset it. So Yeah, guys, feel free to chime in with any comments or thoughts you have. I'll probably go until around 10 a.m. We'll probably go for another 20, 25 minutes. And then that way I'll leave. I'll get down to the mall around 11 o'clock. I'm going to be going to Robinson's Mall, get some lunch, and then need to buy some more coffee. So I'll go downstairs to the grocery store, pick up some coffee. And then it's what else? So Robinson's, lunch, coffee. I'm good on data. My data plan is fine. So I won't need to buy any data. Um, don't know if I'm gonna have any more caffeine. I like to sometimes buy energy drinks at Robinsons because yeah, caffeine helps when you're trying to move forward. It's let's see, trying to plan my day out. It's hard because the Philippines is a very spontaneous country. So for those who haven't been here yet, it just you don't know what's going to happen. Like for me, I go down to Dumaguete. I have no idea who I'm going to run into. I run into people every single day, and you stop and talk. It's different from the U.S. where people don't want to talk; they're in too much of a rush. Here, I meet people all the time, and I just start talking to people. Like sometimes it's the jeepney driver, sometimes it's a random person in the mall. Sometimes people come up to me and start talking to me because they recognize me from some content that I've contributed to. And so you just never can tell what your day is going to look like 100%. You also have to have patience. A lot of guys, they come here from the US, the UK, Australia, and they're thinking, okay, I'm going to go to the mall and I'm going to do this. I'm going to go get this errand done, go by the bank. I'm going to go to the grocery store. And they get like two of those things done. Where back home, they're used to bam, 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 bam. They get everything done because traffic can be a little bit a little bit different than what we're used to. And I don't even think it's that like it's not awful. I mean, I've driven in Los Angeles traffic, and if you want to know bad traffic, LA traffic is the worst I've ever experienced. But yeah, uh, Lincoln says just don't overdress. You don't want to look like yeah, yeah. I might overdress a bit, Lincoln, just because I I'd be happy to discuss it after. There's a few reasons for it. Um, but the content is kind of covering it's somewhat related to digital nomads. I feel like I can share. It is on the topic of passport bros. And so um, I want to put my best foot forward. I don't consider myself 100% that's a component of my experience. I have to be honest. I am uh, a straight guy, and I am currently single. Is dating a component? It didn't start out that way. I came here to the Philippines to meet my virtual assistant and to hang out with him, meet him and his family. And his wife's a lovely lady. But in the process of doing so, they were like, "Hey, if you're single, we got to set you up. If you come here to the Philippines and you're a single guy, and you make Filipino friends, even foreigner friends, they will constantly be trying to set you up with a nice lady. Assuming that's what you're seeking or what you're interested in, that's what I'm interested in. It's you can't stay single here forever. I think I shouldn't say that. Many guys will struggle to stay single here forever. There's just so much interest in you meeting a nice woman, and yeah. Rossing blog says, "Hope you can stay more longer in our country." Thank you so much, Rossing. I love the Philippines. You have the most beautiful country in the world. It's absolutely gorgeous. Every day I wake up and see beautiful palm trees out my window, and I see and I interact with the lovely Filipino people, and they teach me something new all the time. And I'm constantly learning from Filipino people the way that they have this emotional intelligence and the way that uh, they're so resilient and so strong. I think some of the strongest people in the world. It's it's incredible. The the gratitude that a lot of Filipinos express for very basic things is yeah, I love this country. I love this country so much, and the way that the people have welcomed me with open arms. You know, Rossing, when I first came here 5 years ago, I was suspicious. I was thinking, why are these people so nice? Why are they being so nice to me? Because I just didn't understand it. I mean, American people can be very rude. And to come here and have people be so sweet and friendly really taught me a lot. It was like there is an alternative way to live, there's a different way to approach life, there's a different way to treat people. And I really admire the people here. And yeah, I'm so I hope I can stay longer too, Rossing. And I know even if I do have to leave eventually to go back to work, I know I'll be back. I know that my destiny is at least partially here in the Philippines. Um, assuming assuming they'll have me. Of course, I'm here based on the goodwill of the Filipino people, and I want to maintain that goodwill. And um, yeah, it's just I want to do my part to contribute. I want to do my part to put money in the pockets of Filipinos, and yeah, I mean that's part of the benefit of the vlog to me is trying to encourage foreigners to come here and to enjoy this country because it's the future just seems so bright here. From my perspective, anyway, I get the sense that this country is on the up and up. That I mean, even in the 5 years since I last came, the internet has improved a ton. It's mind blowing to me because when I came here 5 years ago, man, the internet could be a struggle, and now it's like zooming fast. I think now it's faster than what I get in America. I'm like, man, you guys are making leaps and bounds to improve and to develop and to grow, and it's impressive. It's nothing short of impressive. So thank you so much, Rossing. Doug says, I'm in Quezon City. It's hot here. Traffic's bad, but reasonable cost of living. It's tolerable. I have a um, furnished 2 bedroom for 22K. That's reasonable, Doug. I want to do a month in Manila eventually. I know some people would ask why. I found some Airbnbs in Manila for a very modest price, and I know, like, I talked to Mike about it, and Mike said, "Hey, I could set you up with the circuit. You could hit X, Y, and Z folks, and it'd be an opportunity, but like, make it, organize it because Manila is hectic. It's the most densely populated city in the world, but there is opportunity there to network, to vlog, to collaborate with people. But you want to kind of set things up to." You want to set things up such that you're able to make the most of it because the quality of life for me is hard to beat here in Dumaguete. I love the small town feeling. I struggle a bit in the mega cities because I grew up in a city of about 2 million people. So Manila feels very much big city to me. Um, and Lincoln says, yeah, everybody had the perfect woman for me. My visit there was strictly to assess whether I wanted to live there forever. Yeah, it's funny, Lincoln. You're gonna get asked, "Are you single all the time?" Even yesterday on the jeepney ride home, um, there were some really nice looking ladies sitting across from me on the jeepney, and it's just such a romantic place. Like I think of Thailand as a very romantic country. I think the Philippines is at least equally romantic as Thailand. Um, it's you just see couples everywhere. You see, from my perspective, you see people in love everywhere. You see people like love just seems to be a big theme here, and I think we're missing that a lot in the West. I think we're a lot of us are struggling in that department in the West, and so to come here and to have a different experience is really very wonderful. Cars says maybe you should reach out to Better Bachelor. His channel focuses on challenges of young men. Um, you're in a position to offer an alternative, you know what? I might send him an email. I wouldn't mind, collabing with him. I have mixed feelings about, I look at it like more focused on the pull factors than the push factors. I think sometimes we expats can feel pushed away from our home countries, and that's valid. I want to validate that first off, validate this idea that there's a lot of problems in the United States, the UK, Canada, Australia, where a lot of people, young men, but then also guys of typical retirement age, feel pushed away. But a lot of what I also like to focus is the pull factors, right? I'm pulled to this place that's teeming with life. I see birds and cows and dogs and roosters and all these different animals here that I'd never interact with back home. Cats, um, the weather, right? This it's hot and it's sunny. To me, it reminds me of, I've never been to Hawaii, but it reminds me of like what I think Hawaii would be like. Uh, the palm trees, the mountains, the oceans. It's such a gorgeous country, like visually appealing. It just, all of my senses are activated here. So sometimes, like and maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm too naive, maybe I'm a bit too optimistic, but I try to also look at the pull factors because I think sometimes people feel like, oh, you're pushed out of the America into the Philippines. I'm like, no, I'm being pulled to the Philippines. The beautiful women here, the friendly, kind people, the generosity, uh, the social element, just constantly having opportunities to socialize. I don't feel lonely here at all. Um, I have yet to meet another American here in Quezon. Seen a few here and there in the malls, but no one here is talkative. Yeah, I think that's an element of the big city, Doug, where people just are kind of stressed out and they're kind of like crowded together, and so they may feel a bit skeptical. And some of those people too, I'm sure they got like jobs around Quezon or in Manila, so they feel like, hey, I'm in a rush, I'm in a hurry. I still think it's probably a very cool city, but yeah, I like the slow pace of Dumaguete. I like the chilled out vibe that you get here that may not be as present in some of the larger cities. I do want to check out Manila. I do want to check out Davao. I do want to check out Iloilo. Those are the three, as far as cities go, the three top ones for me. Baguio is up there, but Manila is a higher priority than Baguio. I think both the Philippines and America offer unique advantages. Why not take advantage of both? That's a great point, Cars. And I think U.S. I I think that it's important to consider the earning potential in America. It's still higher than many other countries. There's still an opportunity to earn a lot. I do think that with the cost of living ratio, it's hard to hold on to your money because things are so expensive in America. But it can't be understated. A lot of people do go to America for the economic opportunities, and they shouldn't be discounted. Carr says young men often lack the purpose of family in America. Yeah, well, a lot of young men these days are effectively priced out of having a family. Um, I hear and see a lot of lecturing from people like, "Oh, these young men need to just get it together," and it's like, how much money does it cost? I had a conversation. Oh, thank you. I'll get to that right after. I don't know why I skipped it. Lincoln. But yeah, so a lot of guys will start throwing around, oh, these guys just need to work harder. They just need to man up. And I've asked friends, how much money would you need to support a family? And I've heard ranges from 200 to $500,000 a year to provide to provide support for a family that they would be happy with, to pay a mortgage, to have a safe, reliable car in the driveway, to provide diapers and food and all these things that families need, maybe to provide for some after school activities like sports or tutoring, uh, to take a vacation periodically. Well, let me look at the median household income right now. Whole income, USA. $80,000 a year, right? That's the median household income. That's assuming both parents are working. So 81K is a far lesser amount than than 2 to 500K a year. And I know people trying to support a family on 100K or less a year, and if they don't have substantial support from their extended family, it's a struggle. Every day is a struggle for them. They're working 60 hours a week. They can't afford to hire out anything, so they're cooking every meal for their family. They're cleaning up after every meal. They're cleaning their house. They're doing home improvements. They have no time. Their time, every minute of the day, could be is getting pulled on two or three different ways. So they can't ever sit down and relax. They can't take a breather. They've got to work all their overtime that they can get. It's just a constant, just rat race, right? And so you don't ever have time to enjoy it. So even if you make that 2 to 500K a year, which for most people, if you want to make that kind of money, you're working a lot. There's nobody that's going to pay you $200,000 to $500,000 a year to just kind of sit around and hang out. Lincoln says, as for the interview, I'm glad you were doing it. You're young, but you think before you speak. And I think you're a great person to show that not all young guys are going there are bad intention. Yeah, that's a good point, Lincoln. I think some people like the freak show element. They like this, oh, look at all these freaks and weirdos leaving. And I think some of it's propaganda, right? I mean, the U.S. does not want people. In my opinion, it doesn't necessarily. Well, there's two sides to it. You could make the argument for either side, and I'll probably share both sides of the argument. But there's this argument that the U.S. doesn't want these people to leave because they pay taxes, right? And some people would say, well, yeah, but they don't make a lot for income. They still pay consumption taxes. They still pay sales taxes, taxes on gasoline, taxes on entertainment, taxes on food, hidden taxes like inflation. There's all of these different these taxes that people pay to live in America. And so yeah, I'm happy to show that people have different intentions. For me, it's about pursuing relationships. It's not about cars. It depends on your quality of life in America, though. If you have a miserable quality of life, which is the case for me and a lot of young men, you struggle badly with your mental health, your sense of well-being, and you struggle to have the positive emotion to move forward in life because you're just so stressed out. Everybody's got this like low grade, not everybody, but a lot of people have this kind of low grade depression. So I think the ideal is actually building an online business, making money regardless of your location. I call it being location independent, being able to go to any country or income in. That's the real ideal because I know a lot of unhappy fast. People can only do things so fast. And then they get yelled at. I think that's part of why there's so many problems in America is people are expected to just keep being more and more efficient. But yeah, we'll probably Cars. Thank you for the heads up. I think I'm going to wind down in the next 5 minutes because I got to get on some stuff. Doug says, I would love to spend 6 months in Colombia, 6 months in Philippines, but a round trip ticket is almost $2,000 and 33-hour flight. My fiance can get a 3-month tourist visa with 3-month extension. Yeah, that sounds really nice, Doug. Like half and half would be fantastic. You get life in the Americas, life in the Philippines. I personally think the ideal for a lot of people would be half and half. Not everybody, but a lot of people would like some time to reset, some time to live in a place they're more accustomed to. Other people, they want full time over here, and I don't blame them either. I mean, I think there's so many good options, Doug, and I think that's for two people though. The flights are just too expensive. 4K on flights, and that doesn't include your rents. Like you're renting on a shorter term basis, you're doing 6-month contracts, which are typically more expensive versus your contract, which typically you get like a break on the price. But yeah, that's a good point, Doug. What's everybody getting into this week? I know it's late night in America, and it's late morning here in the Philippines. Let's see here. You're getting a cold. I hate to hear that, Lincoln. You're hopefully my body isn't still achy by work in the morning. Yeah, I hope you're feeling better by the morning. That's too bad. Yeah, a cold was going around here. I think a few weeks ago. I caught a light cold, and fortunately, I got over it. But yeah, I was feeling kind of run down myself. Yeah, my Filipina is applying for a U.S. tourist visa. We want increased options. Yeah, that's a good point, Cars. I don't blame you there. It's always good to have optionality. That's part of my interest in doing this slow travel is trying to find the places in the world that I could live in. Uh, there's a few other places that are top of mind. I keep in my back pocket places that I've been that I would happily go live there if I need be. It's you'll I think you'll never regret having some other options. Hopefully, we never have to use them, but it's just nice to have that in the back of your mind. Hey, if I need to change it up, if I need to go somewhere else, I've got some other alternatives. I've got some other ideas that I could use. Don't It's like options. Like I don't have to exercise them, but I can if I want to. So, yeah, it's not a bad idea. And the U.S. isn't. I'm not one of these that I try to avoid, let's say, bashing the US. Am I happy there? No, I'm not happy there. Is there still a lot to love about the US? Yeah. I mean, I miss, if there's something I miss about the US, it's the weather in California. I miss that Mediterranean climate. I miss, just the cool weather because it's hot here. I mean, it's hot in the Philippines. Like it's a tropical country, and you have to be prepared for really hot weather if you want to stay here. It's yeah, it's something that not everybody will adjust to as well as some others. But yeah, it's gonna be a nice day. Maybe I'll go a little bit longer. I don't know if there's interest for that, but we had a bunch more people just pop in, and yeah, I guess I can go a little bit longer. But trying to talk about what else. So yeah, Wednesday I'll film. As soon as I get the link for that, I'll be sure to share it on my community page. That should be interesting. I'm still doing some planning and trying to think about what I want to talk about or how I want to approach the interview. Um, Thank you so much, Cars. I really appreciate that. That's very kind and considerate of you. And yeah, I think, I'm very, very fortunate to have found this country, very fortunate to have had the growth on YouTube that I've had, and have met so many nice people through the platform, through the interviews, through traveling. Um, I've got some ideas for next year, some ideas of places that I want to go, and uh, we'll see. I mean, I wouldn't mind. One thing I've thought about doing, guys, and I've thought about going and doing some seasonal work in Alaska to just go and make a stack of money. I'm not at zero. I got to be clear about this. A lot of people have thrown around this idea that I'm about to run out of money any day. But I'd like to periodically supplement what I've got to prevent it going down, right? Maintaining a certain baseline amount, ideally increasing it. But I've never been to Alaska, and I've always wanted to go to Alaska. And they've got these seasonal jobs up there because most people, when they visit Alaska, they just go in the summer to experience it. I think it would be really cool to go up there and to work for a summer. You know, the housing is cheap, like super subsidized. Food is basically free for a lot of these jobs. You just work a lot and you put away a lot of money. And then once that's finished, um, yeah, once that's finished, you know, once the season's over, coming back over. I want to go to Indonesia. Indonesia's been on my radar, and so that might, you know, that might pay for some time in Indonesia. But yeah, I think I'm gonna wind down, guys. It's been a wonderful live stream. I wanted to make up for last night, or was it last night? No, it was yesterday morning. I wanted to make up for yesterday morning because I felt like it kind of ended abruptly and I didn't really get a chance to talk to folks. But thank you all so much for watching. If you're watching a replay of this, please subscribe to the channel down below. If you haven't already, give us a thumbs up. It helps with the YouTube algorithm. And comment. Comment on anything you saw in this replay. If you'd like to share your thoughts, they're always helpful in generating discussion. And we will see you guys next time. Thanks.